Hi again, everybody. Good Monday morning to you. I'm Redrick Terry. Thanks for choosing Local 4 News this morning. And let's start with your top story here at 5:30. Tonight here on campus, the buildings remain locked after what campus police are calling a fight between two roommates led to violence right here at Thompson Hall. It is crest day along the Mississippi River, and so far it is expected to be a record breaker ahead. But first, we're following breaking news this morning out of Bettendorf, where crews are responding to a fire. Fox 18's Taylor Bozer is on the scene for us. Taylor, what can you tell us at this point? Well, odds are if you haven't used one of these yet, you probably will be soon, especially after Tuesday's winter storm came down here on the Quad Cities. So now, as you see, the crowd has certainly dispersed, everybody trying to make their way back over to LeClaire Park, but right over across the street, we're here on 4th Street in downtown Davenport. We see some sort of event has taken place. There, see the fire crew there tending to a person in the middle of that circle there. We're not sure at this point what happened. You see medic services going by right now as well. Taylor, thank you, and very good advice there in terms of those snow plows. You want to give them some extra space as they continue to work to clear some of our roads this morning. People all across the country will be hitting the polls next Tuesday for the midterm elections. Joining us now is Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds. She and Democratic candidate Fred Hubbell are in a tight battle with election night coming. The investigation is on after a man is shot and killed by Bettendorf police over the weekend. Officers say they responded to a domestic disturbance at a home on Central Avenue early Sunday morning and say that call led to the shooting. Illinois lawmakers are proposing a bill that calls for schools to add sexting to their sex education classes. Let's show you now the man who police believe is responsible and tonight is in custody. We're talking about 18-year-old Kavion Poplis. He is a freshman, and according to Western Illinois University, he turned himself in Chicago earlier this afternoon.
And now we have more flooding.
Yeah, the water didn't take long to cover River Drive in Moline and cause issues for drivers. One family had to be rescued after trying to drive through the standing water right in front of the Tax Layer Center. Good morning, Alexandria. Welcome to Aledo, Illinois. They've called this place the rhubarb capital of the entire state of Illinois. And guess what? They're about to show you why as we move on later on today. And we will give you details on how you can get involved in that and how you can potentially bring one of these pups home. They make great teammates, in case you didn't know. I don't even know if I could listen. These pants.
It's a challenge now.
There you go. To the legs. What do we gotta do?
Turn around halfway.
Whoop.
Right off the back. See, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Good job.
Good, Charlie.
It's one of the first great joys of life. A child getting their first dog.
Because he was licking your hands. He's going down.
For Tracy Harper and her 12-year-old daughter Grace, that joy became a reality on November 27, 2020, the day they brought home Charlie.
He was really cute. I don't know, there was just something about him that was really sweet.
After just a few days, the Harpers noticed Charlie starting to change.
He started to act really lethargic.
Or he would really love treats and he wasn't taking them. And I pretty much knew something was up when he wasn't taking the treats.
Time that the Harpers hoped would be spent taking walks and playing with their brand new puppy turned into daily trips to the animal hospital. Charlie was diagnosed with parvovirus, a very contagious sickness that Dr. Scott Sandeman at Glen Rhodes Vet Clinic in Bettendorf says can be fatal. The doctor says symptoms could take 3 to 7 days to show up, and vaccines have slowed its impact. But for Charlie,
everything we paid to save him didn't work to save him.
So after just 10 days and almost $4,500 in medical bills, the Harpers had to make the decision to end Charlie's pain by ending his life.
We won't ever forget that, ever, because it was bad. Sorry, I don't want to cry. It was bad. It's okay. And then even when we were in there putting him to sleep, he had blood dripping out of his nose when he was laying on the bed. And I was taking a tissue and I was wiping his nose off. We're never gonna get over this.
A great deal of personal pain, something shared by Rochelle Dougal, a former assistant director at King's Harvest Pet Rescue in Davenport. That is where the Harpers adopted Charlie.
It was heartbreaking. I also felt a lot of shame for participating in it, and more importantly, not maybe helplessness, because I didn't feel like there was anything that I could do.
Dougal was let go by the shelter before this specific case, but according to her, this isn't the first time she's seen this happen.
I did notice that a lot of the animals that were being adopted out came down with various illnesses, kennel cough, ringworm, upper respiratory infections, heartworms, and even fatalities.
Local 4 News decided to investigate. We found out Charlie came up to King's Harvest via transport van from Texas. We also checked animal welfare inspection records from the Iowa Department of Ag and Land Stewardship. We found in December of 2020 a complaint about sick animals led to another inspection outside of the routine one that's done every year. The report lists several code violations, including failure to maintain adequate records, failure to maintain programs of disease control and prevention, and failure to place animals infected with contagious diseases into isolation facilities. A re-inspection was scheduled for early January. Those findings are not available yet. We reached out to King's Harvest Pet Rescue. They did not want to go on camera, but did send a written response. It says in part, the litter of dogs were vet checked on November 23rd and were up to date on age-appropriate vaccines. They say the dogs were in a foster home in Texas for 3 weeks, which they felt was a long enough quarantine. The shelter director's statement continues, saying no one wants to euthanize these great pups, so we were just trying to help as many as we could, which meant we tried to adopt them out as quickly as possible to prevent others from dying. Since our investigation, King's Harvest has changed its policy on holding animals, saying they will now hold them for a minimum of 3 days before adopting them out. They add they are saddened by what happened, but still want to encourage people to adopt, not shop. They say rescue dogs are less expensive and do come fully vetted. Across the country and the world, healthcare providers are experiencing a shortage in critical protective equipment, and that's why people not only here in the Quad Cities but all over are stepping up to answer the call. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Meet Tracy Parsons. She and her husband Barry live in Wheatland.
This was a previous hoard, but I'm willing to share it now.
She says after seeing the need for equipment like masks in the Quad Cities, she knew she had to help.
I'm really glad to give them to a cause that will be of such good use. I mean, they'll immediately go to use to people who need them, wherever they need them.
Parsons is a former seamstress. She also says she was recently diagnosed with cancer, so this donation means more to her.
I just really liked this one, but never quite got around to putting her to use, so maybe one of my doctors will have it on.
Donations like the one from the Parsons family are exactly what Lori Beeman and the people at the Freight House Farmers Market are asking for.
It's community helping our own community. You know, we want to be able to, lift up our healthcare workers.
And as Sean Taylor from Community Healthcare says, that global need for equipment is not lost on healthcare workers in our area.
We don't know when we're going to reach the apex of this whole situation. So being able to look and know we have supplies waiting in the wings is huge.
And that's where the people of the Quad Cities step in, as they do so often, helping out whenever they can, however they can.
So if everybody can just give the little bit they can, it's going to be better for everyone involved.
In Davenport, Redrick Terry, Local 4 News.